thing is fun off-road. Woo! Oh boy. Oh! Whoa. Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Moto, and I'm super excited because I just picked up my brand new 2021 Yamaha TW200. So I picked this up from a dealership about 3 hours away from me. So as you could tell, I was really excited and looking forward to getting this bike. And I just wanted to make a quick little video to go over some of the features of the bike, some of the things I like about it. So let's go for a ride. So just to go over a couple of quick specs on the bike. It weighs 278 pounds. It's super light. It's got a 196cc engine, which puts it in the beginner category for dual sports. It's the baby dual sport that Yamaha offers. The bigger brothers would be the WR250 or the XT250. But that being said, there is a special place for the Yamaha TW200. There's almost a cult following for this thing, and it's a really good motorcycle. So the TW200 is carbureted, so that means when the bike is cold, the engine hasn't been running, it's a good idea to pull out the choke, which is located right underneath the tank, and that'll help the bike start up, and you can let it warm up a little bit, and then you can put the choke back in. But this bike I've had running, so it should start right up. You just flip the key, and just like that. So let's take this guy for a little ride. So Yamaha has been making the TW200 since 1987. So I think that can attest to just how good of a motorcycle it is. The motorcycle is so simple. It's so reliable. You know, you can fix it with a hammer. It really is just a great little bike. So the 196cc engine on this motorcycle will get you around 55-60 miles an hour depending on your weight. And there's a couple modifications you can do, such as the rear sprocket, to help boost that top speed a little bit. So the TW has a 1.8 gallon fuel tank, and Yamaha claims that it'll get you around 78 miles per gallon. After looking online and doing some of my own research, it seems as though the 78 estimate's a little bit high. It's more like 60 to 70, but regardless, that's still really good for the T-dubs. So I pulled onto this gravel road because that's where this bike really shines. The TW200, if you point it somewhere, it'll go there. If it's up a mountain or if it's down a cliff, it'll take you there. And it may not take you there fast, but it will always take you there. This thing is just super reliable. That big fat tire on the back just grips down really well and makes the bike feel really confident and inspiring when you ride it. So the TW200 is certainly a great beginner's bike, but it's also a good bike for someone who's looking into getting into getting into some dual sporting. It's a great beginner bike because of how low it is to the ground. Whoa, pretty bumpy there. I believe the seat height is just over 31 inches, so really nice for smaller riders or riders who are new. Some of the other dual sports, like the WR250, are like 36 inches high as far as the seat goes, and that can be a little intimidating for a newer rider. When you're off-roading and you know, you're kind of a little unstable, it's nice knowing that, you know, you can put your feet down and you don't have to tippy-toe it or lean the bike over too much. So since 1987, the motorcycle has basically been unchanged. In 2001, Yamaha changed the drum brake in the front to a disc brake, and the TW originally came with a Kickstarter, but also in 2001, Yamaha did away with that. I kind of wish they kept the Kickstarter. I think it's like it adds to the reliability of the motorcycle. Just in case your battery goes down, you still have a second option. So let's check out the turning radius on this bad boy. I mean, it is really, really good. And that wasn't even all the way. I was just going a little slow because we're on some loose gravel. So I've put 92 miles on this bike. I got it with 0.6 miles, which something about that made me feel really happy. I was like, man, this thing doesn't even have 1 mile on it yet. But I'm super happy that I purchased it. It's a relatively inexpensive motorcycle. So that's another great thing for beginners is if you drop the bike, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to be paying, you know, $3 grand for a new exhaust or something like that. Or if you have a TFT display, this bike doesn't have that. It's bare bones, and it just works. Since the bike has been made since 1987, there are so many companies making aftermarket parts. There's also so many used bikes out there that you can get parts from, or if you're looking into buying a Yamaha TW200, there's plenty of them on the market. I really like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and if you search those websites, you can find them for around 2 or 3 grand. They hold their value pretty well, but that being said, you can still, if you look hard enough, find them for, I would say, 2 grand, maybe even a little bit under. So this bike has 5 gears, and it's geared really low. It's meant to go slow, kind of off-road rock crawling. It's not really a highway bike. I wouldn't recommend it for long-term use on the highway. That being said, if you had to go a couple exits, there's no big deal in that. The bike will do 60 miles an hour, and with a sprocket change in the rear, you could probably bump that up a little bit more. One thing that separates this dual sport from some of the other ones is the seat width. The seat on this is fairly wide, and some of the other dual sport seats like the WR250 are very narrow, and this one's wide, and I kind of like it. It feels a little bit better on the on a good old buttocks. So the dash on this thing is very simple. You've got your speedometer, your blinker light, you have your high beam light, and your neutral light, and that's it. It's very basic. If you want to know how much gas is in the tank, here's the tank. You open this and you find out. It's very simple. Hey, look at that. I just hit 100 miles. It's a very simple machine. It's built well. It's built by a Japanese company. You know, the Japanese motorcycle companies are known for reliable bikes, and this is no exception. This is a very reliable motorcycle. In the back roads, this bike is super fun. It's really flickable, actually. It's really light, and the back tire just gives you a lot of grip. It's pretty fun. So a couple things that I want to do to this motorcycle. I want to get some sort of tank bag, because I plan on trying to travel with this thing a little bit and go on cool trails and maybe even do some moto camping. Another thing I want to get is a rear rack. Now, like, they sell them for like 150 bucks online, but I'm almost thinking about trying to make one and saving a little bit of money, because all it is just a little bit of tubular steel. Another thing I want to upgrade is the headlight, and probably add a couple LED pods in the front. There's a really good YouTuber called T-Dubs Kid who, if you were watching this video, you've probably even heard of him. He's great. He goes moto camping all the time, and he's got a really cool TW200. And he has pods on his bike, and the way his came out are really, really nice. He had his on the handlebars, or excuse me, on the hand guards, and I really like the idea. So I'm I'm probably going to get some handguards for this guy too, if I plan on off-roading with it, which I do. I want to make sure I have something that'll protect the clutch and the brake lever as well as my hands. So we'll pull in over here and just do a little walk around on the bike. And as I said before, the turning radius on this thing is great. I mean, I can easily do circles in here, no problem. So here she is, the 2021 Yamaha TW200. The only difference between the 2021 model and the previous models is the color scheme. Everything else has stayed the same. Now, instead of last year had the beige and black colors. This year, as you can tell, it's got the gray and black, and I really like that. The beige and black was nice, but I like the darker colors, and I think it fits the bike really well. So as you can see up front, it's got that disc brake, and then in the rear over here, it's got the drum. If you're someone who likes to tinker with your motorcycle, the Yamaha TW is a perfect option for you. There's a lot of aftermarket parts for it, and also it's just super easy to work on the motorcycle. So as you can see, there is room for a passenger on here, and Yamaha included some nice passenger pegs. It also has a little bike lock here. You can lock up like your helmet or anything else really. It just takes the key from the motorcycle and opens just like that. So over here you can see the carburetor. This is the adjustment dial for the carburetor. Here is your choke, so you just pull that out and it chokes the engine, and then you can also do it partially, and then that's the choke completely off. So over here is your petcock, and there's 3 different options. You have off, reserve, and then on. So when you're riding the bike normally, just throw that to on, and that allows the fuel from the tank to go into the carburetor. And if you're running low on fuel, you just switch this to reserve up top there. So I just drove 68 miles, and I actually had to switch over to reserve because the motorcycle shut off. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up, and we'll see how much it costs, and we'll also see how much it takes. Guess we'll leave you up here. I'm just gonna give it 87 right now. See what this bad boy takes. Okay, so it took about 1.2 gallons, $3, not bad. All right, and then I'll reset this guy back down to 0, and also I'll switch from reserve to on, and we're good to go. And that gives you a little bit extra gas, so you can get to the nearest gas station and fill up. And then obviously you have the off, and usually only shut it off when I'm gonna be leaving the bike and not riding it for a couple days, but if you're gonna ride it the next day or in a couple hours, you can just leave it on. So moving on to the handlebars, you have your high and low beam switch, your blinkers, and to toggle that off you just click the button. You also have your horn here. This is your engine kill button or your emergency shut off, whatever you want to call it, and then this is your little push to start button. So if you're planning on using this motorcycle for around town and on the trails, this is a perfect bike. You can throw a little rack on the back. There's plenty of different options for that. And you can throw a bunch of gear on, maybe even like a saddlebag or a tank bag. And you can take this thing just about anywhere. I mean, it is an absolute tank. That big fat tire on the rear just grips to the ground so well. So if you're interested in the Yamaha TW200, I highly recommend it. I think it's a great beginner bike, and even for an intermediate or an advanced rider, it's a great option. What is that guy doing? So just to end off the video, I think that the TW is a fantastic bike. Like I said earlier, it's super reliable, it's fairly inexpensive, there's parts everywhere for it, and it's easy to work on. I plan on doing a couple more videos about this bike. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know down in the comment section. Other than that, please subscribe, like the video, and ride safe. Have a good one.